Alright, there is a lot to talk about. So let's first start off with the shop and where we can get all these different gears and stuff. Obviously, we have two from Challenge, we have two from Danger Close, we have potentially one from Challenge itself and not from the Challenge shop, and we have some from the seasonal shop. So this is limited, it will never refresh, it will always be here. So what I recommend to you is obviously, buy the seasonal gear before it ends. There's 43 days off, so if you do want to try and get these, just before they disappear, like here for, fusion cores or 4 awakening summons, that is always admirable. But I definitely do recommend, before these do disappear, try and get these ones. Even if they're not like the best, right? They're probably like 4th best or something like that. They're still gear, it's still T6 endgame gear. And there's no reason not to, because these do actually reset. If you miss out on them, you're 1 gear behind everyone else. Sometime later they're gonna introduce evasion type gears. Instead of crown, scope, sights, they're gonna have, exosuits, they're gonna have the movement, all that stuff, right? Basically the evasion version of the gears. Now, obviously, in terms of what you should buy, as I just went over this shop, for Danger Close wise, it's kind of a debate, but I personally believe that you would rather go for the maze hands, the maze cases, and then the hummingbird stuff. Because your tank gears pretty much revolve around this, mainly. And afterwards you can go for all the accessories, because the accessories are very specified to specific characters. And that's how I think about gear, right? Now, other than that, you also have a few other stuff, like how do you tell between characters' gears, right? Like, how do you want to build your character? Do you want to build them DPS, tank, all that stuff, right? So there's 3 categories I would like to sort them into. There's DPS, which could be, any type of class. There's the support role, and there's the tank role. Now, you can make anyone a tank or anyone a DPS, as long as they're built different, right? Like Jifuyu, she could be a tank or a DPS. Personally, I like her as a DPS. Now, how do you actually want to build them? Gear-wise. So, for DPS, I would personally build them like this, with obviously maze armor as the base, but I don't have maze armor. So imagine there's maze armor there, and there's like another T6 maze crown here. Now, how do I want to build DPS? I obviously want them to have the mace gear, since they are more tailored to DPS. There's also another set of gear that is only tailored to DPS, and they cannot be changed to anything else, and that is the spectral gear, or from the Shadow Hall gear, and that's strictly DPS pretty much. So in this way, you want to build your DPS with all your top-notch tier 6 endgame gear, maze, and then if you don't have enough, courageous gear, right? And for tanks, obviously you would build the Gordius gear. Gordius gear and whatnot could roll CDR or evasion stuff, but honestly, I have a gear guide up already that has a it's more for mix matching and how to like put stuff on your tanks, all that stuff. So you can go to that video if you want to learn more, but I will give you guys the short rundown of what each piece should really do. But for tanks and stuff, you would do the maze armor HP, maze hands or hummingbird HP, and then depending on the accessory, it would be specified towards evasion or defense, or generally just HP. For soldiers, pretty much always HP, right? And it would be the Gordius gear for that. So they would be very, very tanky that way. And then for supports, you pretty much just run them with Dante gear. They really don't need the DPS gear. They really don't need the actual, what's that called? Gordius hummingbird gear. But really just running this gear is fine. Not sure if running a raid gear would be the best, but I do know that raid gear does give more CDR than regular stuff, I believe. I can check right now. 2 ground damage. Nah, 7.7 compared to the 9%. So you get like 1.3% extra for raid gear, which is like whatever, right? But for supports, I would definitely recommend just Dante or raid gear for that stuff, because you don't really want to use your best gear on them specifically, right? Otherwise, that is basically the differences between the tank, DPS, and support role based on what kind of gear they use. And then next, let's go over sets. Again, I recommend the gear guide if you guys haven't seen it already. 100% try and watch that video first. It will basically just tell you how I like mix matching my gear, in the sense that you could do a lot of things. For stuff like, how do you say? So basically, for these specific weapons and crowns and stuff, I would do a few things. For maze, I would pretty much only go for attack speed, counter, CDR, and HP. For the armor piece, I would go for HP, attack speed, CDR. Yeah, pretty much every maze piece would be attack speed, CDR, HP. This holds true for soldiers, and this also holds true for mechs. Those are pretty much the only ones you would go for. Now, the quantity of each one, each set, would differ based on the origin, which counters with like CDR more, soldier and mechs like attack speed more, right? Now, when it comes to Gordius gear, you would only go for HP, CDR, or evasion defense. Basically, more of the defensive sides. CDR could work since there's a lot of these hit crowns, right? There's a lot of these hit crowns, and the evasion ones, the evasion movements, I would definitely revert or reserve those for the tanks. So you would put HP or evasion or defense on them. But for the crowns, you have enough to give you a little bit of leeway. Let's have like at least or just 2 CDRs is fine. I naturally roll with them, so I'm fine with this, right? And luckily I got them on the crowns, so that's good. So 2 CDRs on crowns is fine. So you could use them for like what, twins? You could use them for Auna if you don't have enough DPS gear. You can use them on chillin. You can use them on a lot of people, right? Now aside from that, that's pretty much everything else. Raid gear can be a lot of things. Raid gear can be anything you want, really, and it'll be enhanced that way. And also crit damage gear would be the best for Shaolin, because obviously, as you know, you only have like around 6 sets in total of maze, and for Gordius, a very limiting amount, like 2 complete tank sets. Really, that's all you need, as long as you build it that way. But again, you have a limited amount of sets, so Shaolin would best run with maze, but optimally, you would want to run her with full T6 gear. If you can somehow get her with full raid gear, nice. You're basically using the second best gear for her without using any maze, and that's perfect. That's fine. That's totally fine. Other than that, you have Shadow Hall gear. I don't really want to go into Shadow Hall gear too much. I do have a Shadow Hall gear guide. I would 100% recommend that. I go through pretty much every single substat that they have, every single set that Spectral gear has. But something I'll reference here is that they are not mixed matchable at all. It is Spectral gear or no Spectral gear. Only some characters like Pendragon can mix match Spectral gear with their exclusive, but that requires you to use like a Dante or Raid gear as the 4th item. Simply because it doesn't match. Spectral gear does not match. You would have to use a 2+2 set. Other than that, it's just pretty much Dante gear. Dante armor is something I would highly recommend if you do not have enough base armors. Simply because it's pretty much the only other option that isn't maze, right? There is raid armor, but would you really want crit damage on your tanks? So if we look at Dante case right here, right? You only have a few options. It's pretty much evasion, right? And that's not that bad. Some other ones might have HP or defense, or if you go to like some other stuff, but like evasion, it's not that bad. A lot of tanks actually might like the flat evasion. It'll give them just a little bit of extra chance, right? But it's flat, and if they don't have a lot, that flat will help a lot. And percentages won't, right? So Dante case is actually probably one of the better gears. simply because it's the only other armor you can use, and if you don't have enough maze armor, you're fucked, right? And spectral gear again is DPS only. There's not going to be a case where you use spectral gear for tanks. It just doesn't work at all. Like, it does not work. Other than that, we should go over the sets real quick. I explained this in my gear guide video again, but I do want to go in depth just a little bit more about sets. So if you go over to set, let's go to what this maze hands right here, right? So let's go over the sets. You have attack speed, CDR, crit damage, anti-siege, anti-supporter, anti-tower, sniper, ranger, striker, defender, hit, evasion, defense, crit, attack, and HP. Now, what do you actually want to build for your defenders and your strikers and all that stuff, right? Now, the general rule I want to keep with myself for maze, like I said already, CDR, attack speed, and HP. You would want around 3 CDRs, at least 1 attack speed, and 2 defensive sets of maze gear for your counters. The reason being is obviously, if you watched, okay, you can stop here and watch the gear guide, but I'm gonna go on with the video, assuming you have watched it already. But knowing that you have a full set of maze, meaning 1 weapon, 1 armor, and 2 accessories, then you should know that you have a full set of DPS gear. So it should pretty much be full CDR, full attack speed, that's your DPS. And if it's HP, you should know that this is 1 maze or a hummingbird weapon, that's HP. You should have 1 maze armor, that is HP. And then you have 2 Gordius gears, since that is your tank set. And this will be either HP, evasion, or defense based on your preference. As you are not using maze accessories, you can mix match them with your Gordius gear since it is HP, defense, or evasion. Since your first 2, or hummingbird weapon, or maze weapon, or armor, are always going to be HP because that is the easiest flexibility you can do, as accessories are easily mix matchable. The accessories as Gordius pieces don't use any maze slots, right? And if you watch the video, or the gear guide run, the Gordius pieces replaces the maze, meaning the other mazes go back to the other sets for your full 4 maze set, and then your Gordiuses, this becomes the tank set. So now you have maze weapon, maze armor, and 2 Gordius gears that are gonna be 2 + 2 HP or evasion or defense. And that's pretty much the reasoning behind that. So I'll go over this real quick. For counters, I would definitely recommend 3 CDRs because there's a lot of counters that like CDRs. They use skills, they use ultimates, they use specials. Your guess is going to be at least 1 attack speed. 1 attack speed, reason being for PvE, there is a very big high demand for specific units. For example, there's Kim Sobin, there is Amina, there is Chifuyu. There's a lot of units like that, right? And obviously, you don't have enough maze, and CDR is a little bit more important, but attack speed definitely does help when push comes to shove, right? You're not always going to have an attack speed character, but having at least one would definitely help. Obviously, spectral gear can be your sub attack speed type set, but of course, this would definitely help you a lot. This is a attack speed skill haste set, so for characters like Gayun, it would actually help a lot. For Harib, it will help a lot. Now, since you're building attack speed for PvE, what does this do for PvP? You are able to basically run specific characters that work well with attack speed and skill haste as a... Let's say if you don't have enough CDR. You have like 4 people using CDR sets already. That's so much. And you can't make a new one. So, if there's a character like Harib, Gayun, or Chifuyu with attack speed sets, it's too easy. You now have a skill haste attack speed set, and they are pretty much very close to the optimal value that you wanted them to be at, right? So, in PvE and PvP, it still works. And obviously, the basic one is that you have 2 or 3 HP sets for mace, armor, and weapon, And obviously that is a given, since if you don't, then how are you going to make a full set of 4-piece maze gears? If you watch my video, you'll understand why. But yeah, you'll have 2 maze HP sets for obviously reasons like Hilda, all that good stuff, right? You'll have maze armor, maze weapons, all that good stuff. A Hilda, Seraphel, Yumi, all that good stuff. Now let's move on to soldiers. So for soldiers, I actually don't have much gears, but let's see if we can do something here. So we have soldiers. I would prefer to do the opposite pretty much. You always have 2 defensive sets pretty much for each origin class. Simply for the fact that it works the same way as counters, right? You're gonna swap that maze for Gordius and eat that to the first maze set. That is how it's gonna work. So 3 to 4 attack speed sets, right? That's given. It's soldiers, they don't really have ultimates, and the ones that do, they're more attack speed oriented anyways. But you're definitely gonna have at least 1 CDR piece, because Veronica, John Mason, those characters, a lot of other characters that are soldiers, they use CDR. They use their ultimates and skills a lot, they benefit their team a lot, and they work very, very well. So at least 1 CDR piece. Basically attack speed for counters, but this time it's CDR for soldiers. And then 2 defensive sets. For the accessories for Minwoo and Shieldmans, as they're the defensive characters of this soldier maze gear, or Gordius gear, they would use HP. There's no soldier that has enough defense or evasion to actually be worth mentioning. Although I would definitely say definitely use the Gordius gears that are hit. Use the Gordius hit gears for your tanks, for Minwoo and Shieldmans, simply because you're gonna use your evasion gear for something else. So for the hit Gordius gears, obviously it is easy to mention that they are just the HP or the evasion. Just HP. Just HP because, like I said, evasion defense does not benefit Minwoo or a Awakened Shieldmans at all. And because you have these HP sets, you freed up the exosuits, the 2 exosuits that you have, the only exosuits that you can actually have. And you want to put these on evasion, since there are 2 characters right now that are very known, that are strikers, soldiers, and they use evasion gear. So if you want them to be a little bit more tanky, or let's say instead of running evasion, you could use these exosuits for DPS instead, like the CDRs I said. So basically, soldiers and counters kind of switch. You know, counters for evasion gear, you want to keep that. But for soldiers, let's make the hit gear the tanky gear with HP, evasion, defense. Pretty much just HP though. And the evasion gear that you would have used for your tank gear, let's make them TPS. So let's put attack speed on these Gordius gears. Both of these Gordius gears, let's use attack speed. What does this do? This enables your admin swordsmen. These enables your Jane Does that are basically evasion type strikers and their soldiers. This would give them a lot of defense, and it would have attack speed set, so it enables their main purpose as a striker, as a damage dealer, while them being tanky. This is really, really useful. Obviously, you can opt out to doing this, and you can just make them evasion gears and make HP evasion type strikers. But obviously, you could always use the Gordius scopes to put evasion on them, like this one, and then you could slap that onto a HP evasion type Jane Doe or a HP evasion type old admin swordsman. But that's my personal opinion. I like putting attack speed on these things and then having HP evasion defense on the Gordius scopes. Although again, I don't think there's anyone that actually uses defense on soldier team. That's pretty much I think everything for soldiers. And then for mechs, it's gonna be relatively pretty much the same thing as soldiers. Now, the problem with mechs is that they actually don't have that much evasion. So, you pretty much want to look at the substats for this, for the most part. Personally, well, not personally, but 100%, at least 1, and if you want 2 CDR sets for mechs, 2 HP sets for mechs, as always, right? But always, 100% you need as much attack speed gears as you can. Ifrit's gonna use this, Giannis is gonna use this, even Titan. You could sub in Titan to use this if you want. But there's a lot of attack speed mechs that would very much like this, simply because it's gonna do damage. You are going to enjoy the amount of damage that these guys do with their attack speed. And honestly, what do you like to see more with your mechs? Them fucking shredding the hell out of everyone, right? So, won't really explain this one this much since I don't have that much experience with mechs, but 100% for Sigma. Sigma is a little bit different, so you're actually not going to make a full CDR set for him. You're just going to make a Hummingbird, Maze Armor, and 2 Gordius CDRs, probably the Gordius Evasion ones, CDRs for Sigma. Reason why? Well, he's going to be at the back, giving you a shit ton of CDRs, giving you a lot of batteries because he is a DP unit, and he's just going to chill there, and he's going to love it. He's going to absolutely love it. So that's my reasoning on that. I can double check real quick, but I believe it is pretty much attack speed for the Maze Gear for mechs. Else is worth mentioning? If there is, I will change it real quick. There's honestly not that much mechs, huh? Titan obviously wants to do HP, or you can do stuff like attack speed or CDR if you want. The attack gunship would use HP as well. Thunderbolts. Nope. S-Talk would use Spectral Blaze, all that good stuff, right? So out of all the mechs I've seen, it seems like you pretty much don't use that much HP. It's pretty much just the attack ship, right? Or the mechs uses Spectral Blaze or Spectral Bullets. So pretty much attack speed is the makes sense. And the Awakened one should use CDR as well. So yeah, mechs is kind of weird, actually. Interesting. Yep, not that experienced with mechs, I definitely admit that. But 100% you're going to need to know that the ATAC gunship uses HP. The Titan uses HP. Thunderbolt could use attack speed if you want to use that one. Lincoln is pretty decent. Use Spectral Spirit though. Yeah. For the most part, seems like that is that. And not much mechs that use it either. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So for mechs and stuff, HP, and CDR seems like the biggest ones. And then for everything else, you could use attack speed sets. Or if you want, you could use your Spectral Gear, which is Spectral Blaze for Ifrit, since that is the attack speed version. Or for Giannis, you could use Spectral Bullet, since that is attack and hit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else. So my bet with that, Giannis actually does not use attack speed. He uses Spectral Bullet, which is 10% attack, 10% hit. And yeah, damn, mechs are really damn complicated. Interesting. Well, aside from that, let's move on to the next topic. Or I guess I should do a summary here, huh? So the summary is basically just, let's say you have 2 CDRs, at least, and 2 HPs, and then the other 2, sure, you can do attack speed. I'd say that's safe. You go attack speed. Honestly, it seems like there's not that much max, right? And from what I know, there really isn't that much max, to be honest. You'd be optimizing for max on Maze Gear, to be honest. Because as of right now, mech teams are pretty much kind of just soldiers as well. So the biggest ones to point out: Titan, HP, attack gunship, HP, and everything else, if there's Ifrit or whatever, Spectral Blaze or attack speed. And honestly, you could probably use Spectral Maze Gear for it, so it is what it is. Other than that, you also have your substats. Now, for the substats of maze gear, right? There's a few things that you need to know. You have, you know, your standard ones. You have crit damage res, you have crit damage, skill haste, CC res, anti-air damage, and all the reses. And all the other damages. And for the armor, you have pretty much the same thing. So generally, they're all gonna run the same thing for the most part. So what does this mean for you? For DPS, you would always run skill haste, no matter what. Simply because you, in the end, you get around 40% skill haste for everything, or 42%, and that's pretty huge. And then you get the current set you desire, and as always, you get the set 1, which is anti-ground damage. So in general, for maze, it's pretty simple. But for tank gear, since you're going tanky, you could do skill haste if you want. You can get 20%, but what kind of use is that really? Instead, you can get 70% crit damage res. You can roll both of these on crit damage res and get 70% crit damage res. It's a huge DPS chunk taken away from you, and that's just amazing. Obviously, in the case, you get ground damage res. It's really nice, right? That's your option for tanks, and obviously, if you go into Gordius, you get 2 Gordius gears. That is nice as well. You could run anti-ground damage res. And pretty much this is the whole thing, except for the fact that you cannot get yourself well, for the weapon at least, you can't get specific thing. I think it's anti-ground damage res, I believe. Not sure about that, but it's kind of weird. Other than that, yeah, anti-ground damage res definitely probably your best option for Gordius gear, simply because Gordius gear is the tanky option, as well as you getting another tanky option right here. I don't think I have a hummingbird right now, which is kind of annoying. But I definitely can tell you that I believe that hummingbird does not have a option to get ground damage res. So you're gonna have to do the same thing as you do with the mace hands. It's gonna be anti-ground damage, or no, crit damage res, and then whatever your option 1 is. For hummingbird, it's honestly very preferential for the option 1. But if you want to do all arounder, you can do the 5% damage taken reduction. So that could work if you want. Again, if you are trying to run a CDR set on the Gordius pieces, obviously skill haste is number 1 priority, and then all that other good stuff, right? With armor and stuff. Now, that's pretty, to summarize it, it's pretty easy to say that if you're DPS, go skill haste. If you are tanky, go crit damage res and or ground damage res. It's very, very easy to explain. When it comes to spectral gear, again, watch the spectral gear video, simply because there's a lot to cover there. But the main thing to take out of it is do not run CDR on spectral gear. It is not worth it at all. After that, we're going on to raid gear. Raid gear is pretty much the upgraded Dante gear to an extent, except for tanks. Tanks would use the Dante case, as you can see right here. It's very nice for them, right? Other than that, raid gear is pretty much the upgraded version. You get your very nice upgraded crit damage and also upgraded sub option 2. So for the second substat, obviously, run whatever you require for that specific role. If you're trying to go CDR, get more skill haste. If you're trying to run attack, get more anti-ground damage. You're trying to do as much damage as you can. If anything, if this is your replacement, then try and apply that subset to the best of your abilities to that specific role. Obviously, if it's gonna be a raid gear for Shaolin, get anti-ground damage. Because if it's crit damage and anti-ground damage, those combine so well together and they will do all that damage for you. Other than that, we can also move on to exclusive gear. I do want to talk about this a little bit. I really, really enjoyed exclusive gear in this game. And I do want to put them out a bit. How would I sort? It's very weird sorting, but we'll do it right in hats, I guess. For now, let's just do all SSR, and yeah, we'll do that, I guess. So first things up is Xiaolin's. I believe hers is the best, simply because her second option is really good, but her main stat, instead of it being attack or evasion or hit, it is attack speed percentage. She gets around 41.4% attack speed here. That is amazing. This makes it so that Xiaolin fires a hell of a lot more, doing guaranteed crit damage, and it just makes her absolutely wonderful. I would roll ground damage percent for her, as it mixes well, very well with crit damage. Under that, next up is Kyle's. It's pretty much the same thing as you can see here. You would just stack a shit ton of skill haste on him. He is a barricading, wall building maniac, and he is amazing for that reason. You also have Shiyun here. Shiyun is a very nice character. His exclusive is a weapon, and it is very enjoyable to see him drop all those buildings on people with a skill haste CDR build, but also the fact that his option 2 gives him the ability to roll for crit damage. 20% crit damage is probably the highest I've seen, and honestly I don't think it's probably, yeah, it's pretty much the highest I think you can roll. And 20% crit damage on top of that fallen building with like 4 valid hits, that chunks a lot. It will one-shot Rosaria's a lot of people actually. And that is Shiyun's here. I think it's very highly rated simply because it does give skill haste as well. Sylvia's is another one, option 2 giving skill haste, and the third option, second option, Substat, gives you an option to roll for skill haste since it is an accessory. So very nice, 22% right here, and her main stat is an attack. This is her accessory, not her weapon, so it's very nice instead of all those hits or evasion things, right? Pendragon also has a really nice counter accessory as her main stat is attack. Crit damage is very nice when it does happen, but as always, her second option can be interchangeable. I think anti-ground damage is fine, or anti-air damage is fine, specifically for certain characters. Or if you want, you can go for double whammy crit damage, or you can go for a specific enemy. Like you could do anti-snipers with Pendragon, you could do anti-rangers with Pendragon, all that stuff. So you can choose over here. There's not really any preferred one, but anti-ground damage is pretty safe to roll. Other than that, you also have your nice young. This is basically like Hummingbird in a sense. It will give you attack, but as this is armor, and it will give you the option of damage taken -5%. For Hummingbird, there's -5% or range damage or far damage. That's the same thing. Or range damage or close proximity damage. And Young Hrim gets a nice skill haste boost right here for her armor and damage taken, so it's a really nice exclusive for her. Yumi's is pretty good as well. Gives skill haste, it's not that bad. Some of that car a little bit higher or faster. But the anti-ground damage rate she gets for T6 here is pretty high, so very enjoyable to use her on HP. Other than that, you also have Gayun's gun. I prefer to use her on attack speed. This gives her around 40% attack speed just as a whole on her weapon, and everything else base gear wise, roll CDR or skill haste on her, and a lot of ground damage and ground damage res. She has a really nice unit this reason, being that she can shoot very fast, proccing her passive every so often, giving her enough CDR for that ultimate. After that, you have Roy's. Now, if we're going with the idea of HP armor and weapon, you can get HP Roy or HP evasion Roy. Either one works well. He has a decent amount of evasion and a decent amount of HP for both of them to work. Now you could also run CDR Roy, which in my opinion is kind of meh, but something very intriguing is that he has pretty much 2 of the best substats smacked into one pair of shoes. He has attack speed up to 30% like the other ones, and he also has skill haste 11%, and he can roll skill haste. Roy has probably one of the best exclusives in the game from what I can see, and it's pretty amazing. Yumina, very nice actually. I really like her options here. I believe the only thing you can roll for her is skill haste, and obviously you're gonna roll skill haste for her. It's an armor for her as well, so it's not that out of the way. And the fact that you can roll crit damage 20% is again pretty high. This is pretty much the opposite of Shiyun. Either way, it works very well. When she crits, she can get up to 200% crit chance. That's 4 times damage. Crit damage, my bad. Crit damage percent, which she does a lot of damage, and it's very admirable. Kim Sobis is also one of the best exclusives I've seen in a while. Good amount of ground damage, very decent amount of crit damage, and has the attack speed main stat as we were talking about, and it's an accessory, so it doesn't really get in the way of things. So her DPS off the charts. Very, very good. You or Yumi. Skill haste 10%. It's a very interesting substat for her. Obviously, you can't really get anything else, right? It's just ground damage or attack speed. You could argue, 10% attack speed sounds pretty good for her. Either way, you can roll whatever for a substat. It's a weapon, and you get extra skill hits for it. Is it really gonna change anything? It's a little bit worse than Maze Weapon, but this means that you don't have to use your Maze Weapon for this. This is a free HP accessory or a weapon for the Yumi, so it is what it is. Toina, again, has one of the better accessories there. That's exclusive, in my opinion. 30% attack speed, 22% skill haste. It's ridiculously strong for Toina when all these stats that she uses are bunched into one accessory, and it's amazing, honestly. Roll attack speed on her. Very, very nice. After that, you also have Suyun's exclusive here. So for Suyun, she has a skill haste option, which is nice. It's our armor, so she's got HP. But the biggest thing is HP recovery per second, 5%. That is very huge. She is getting HP regeneration every time she's on the field, so if she doesn't die, she's gonna get her HP back. So that's really nice. Other than that, you also have Hilda, again, the HP option, and then you have evasion for accessories. Her stats are pretty decent, in my opinion. I definitely think that you should roll ground damage res here. And she has CC reg, which is really nice, and then she has speed for her main stat. It's not the best accessory for Hilda, but she definitely does her job as a steamrolling tank that goes into front and knocks people back with her skills. So definitely run ground damage res on her. She has a high enough evasion. She's probably one of the best evasion tanks. And yeah, it's really nice. Same thing with Yujin. She has also one of the highest evasions in the game. I definitely recommend running attack speed on her. Getting those animations off. Really nice skill haste. This is a very cracked out weapon. You could definitely argue that you can go for anti-ground damage for more damage, but I definitely think I like the attack speed on her. Now, you also have Orca. I definitely think attack speed, skill haste subsets are the correct choices for her, and then the CDR set is probably the best for her as her ultimate keeps resetting over and over. Really, really nice weapon. Or accessory, my bad. Where's the armor? Yeah, it's armor. The weapon for Mia, probably another pretty good one. She has attack speed for her secondary, and you can get ground damage or attack speed for your second subset. I definitely probably would recommend more attack speed or more ground damage. I think if you go for more attack speed, the animation for her ultimate goes a lot faster, so she knocks them away extremely fast. So you could try that option. Maria, one of the better units in the game as a tower, at least one of the better tower units. She has anti-ground damage, and pretty much she's just an airstrike galore unit. And the damage take is really nice for her as a weapon, so she takes a lot less damage as a tower unit. But yeah, running CDR on her, she will keep summoning those goddamn fucking airstrikes, man. Jake Walker, really nice armor piece. He has a really nice attack speed first stat, and then he can also have anti-ground damage res on his armor piece. Really nice for Jake Walker. I would take it. Kang Soyun, damage taken for her squishy self, and get herself a nice substat like anti-ground damage or whatever you're trying to kill, really, but mainly anti-ground damage probably. Anti-sniper, anti-ranger, or attack would be pretty good for Kang Soyun. Hansurim has a really nice accessory as it is attack. You get attack speed substat, and you have the option to anti-ground damage, or you can run skill haste. Up to you. Attack speed on her or CDR. I think the attack speed is probably better though. Or the set. Eddie Fisher's charm, really nice. You get damage taken, so the squishy self, Eddie, the soldier, dies fast, and you can get some anti-ground damage, or preferably skill haste. Could be useful if you want to run a grenade spamming build for him. But I definitely think the set's going to be attack speed. Or CDR if you want, but attack speed's probably the better option. Other than that, I think that's pretty much every exclusive that we have looked at. And I'm gonna check real quick, but I think I have one exclusive left. Chohojin as well. God damn it. Well, I know what Chohojin is. She gives crit damage, and that's pretty much it. She has 100% crit damage chance, and she can roll it twice on her subset. So very, very strong. Exclusive. And we also have Bommy's very nice anti-tower headsets. It's an accessory. Let's just see how good it is. So the dancing cat accessory is an evasion piece. As for the evasion type character she is, very much pretty much almost maxed out substats, which is really nice. And it seems that she can pretty much roll everything on her accessory, which is really nice. As her character goes, I definitely think Skill Haste is probably the better option for her, and again, probably CDR as well, since she likes to spam her abilities a lot. That's pretty much it for this gear guide. Hopefully this has helped you a little bit more, given how to understand it a bit more and whatnot. I think I pretty much answered almost everything, but I will check one more time just in case you guys have any other questions that I can answer before this end of the video. So there is another topic on what do you want to reroll for first. So your priority. I definitely would probably reroll for whatever you roll on first. I think if you're trying to just aim for the topics that I basically told you about. If you hit CDR, attack speed, or HP first, grab those. Those are the most important sets for base gear. For Gordius and Hummingbird, HP or CDR, and then evasion or defense. And for Spectral gear, obviously Spectral Blaze. So, and Spectral Bull if you hit that. For free to plays, it's very hard for you guys to get these things. So if you roll one of those, just keep it. Don't reroll it. It's gonna take a while. This aiming for DPS is super important simply because Danger Close requires this a lot. And that's pretty much the priority that you should be getting. I would definitely recommend doing the Maze, Gordius, Hummingbird, weapon and armor first, and then you will move on to accessories later. Other than that, is there any other questions? My bad I didn't really go into that much for substats, but I think I definitely gave a clear opinion on what your gear should be running in terms of substats. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please like, subscribe, dislike if you want, share the video, and comment in the comment section below because I would love to know your opinions and luck about all your gears and your choices. If you have any other questions, please do ask me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys later.